Right then, friends, we're back inside the building. This is Trickstar Radio, Breakfast with Kovu inside the building. We're moving into interview hour here on Monday morning. Massive shouts out to all the locked-in crew each and every time. We are joined by our first guest of the day, just coming up to 9:05 here. Clarity is on the line. How are you doing?
Cheers, Jay. Thank you so much for having me on.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Honestly, it is 4 a.m. in Miami, but I'm so happy to be chatting with you right now.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for staying up late as well. I know it can be a bit of a drag sometimes staying up so late, obviously with the time difference and stuff. So I do appreciate it, and obviously we're gonna have a good conversation today, I hope.
It's going to be a good time. I'm so excited to catch up with you.
Awesome, man. So, obviously, we met, I think it was around about a year ago at this point, when you were over here. You were over here with Greed and CLB, weren't you?
Yes, so I actually we did basically a grand tour of England. We popped all over the place. We were at London, we made a stop in Bristol, met up with Dread MC, and then popped over to see you in Brighton. And honestly, Brighton is probably my favorite. Like, it's extremely beautiful out there. Trickstar was a really, really great time. But yeah, like, we had linked up with my friend, Max, CLB, and then my significant other, Brady, who did the interview with you. So, yeah, I was just over there pretty recently. It was really good vibes.
Awesome, man. I mean, kind of with that then, I mean, kind of like the theme of this interview that I kind of want to kind of dive into is obviously... with bass music, which is where I'd say you're kind of based, you're kind of in between, I'd say, kind of house and bass. That's the sort of area you kind of occupy as a producer and as an artist. And obviously, there's a lot of kind of UK influence on those genres.
Yes.
Like, how influenced by the kind of UK sound would you say your sound is?
Oh my gosh, literally, being in the UK only a few times, like, that place has my heart and soul. Like, I don't know, like, ever since I just got into UKG, like, it's basically like a rabbit hole. Like, you just crate dig, and before you know it, like, you're just deep into it, listening to, like, UKG and grime, and, like, it's something about the music scene there that I just really deeply resonate with. And I remember my first time going to London. This was prior to meeting you, but just everyone there is just so locked into the music, and you can tell, like, the respect and the love for music is almost palpable. And not to say that we don't have that here in the States, but it's so apparent whenever you go to, like, a club in the UK, like, especially in London, like, everyone just has their eyes closed, they're dancing, they're feeling it. Like, I have really had a deep respect for the culture, especially in England, just for years. Like, the youth culture there, the music scene, the fashion scene, everything, it just really deeply resonates with me.
Awesome, man. I mean, that's awesome to hear. Obviously, living here, it's awesome to hear how well that kind of that energy and more than anything else, the kind of, as you say, the kind of respect that we do kind of have for music here in the UK, how much that resonates abroad. I mean, kind of with that kind of rabbit hole you were talking about, how long did it kind of take you going down that kind of rabbit hole to sort of find the area you're kind of working in now? Like, how long was that process?
Sure. Honestly, I've had kind of a fascination for just, like, British, like, music culture and fashion culture in general for years, but specifically pertaining to, like, you know, house music and bass music, it's honestly probably been just the last few years. I got into grime first. That was kind of like the tip of the iceberg. And then from there, I discovered UK Garage, which that's actually, if you listen to, like, my earliest music, it's, like, very heavily UKG inspired. And then I've evolved over time. I would say that I probably lean more so into, like, bass and tech house currently, but in the early days, like, whenever I was first making beats and, like, publicly putting them out, it was very much UK inspired. I would say, though, like, specifically music-wise, probably, like, the last 2 or 3 years, I've been just heavy into the UK sound.
Awesome, man. I mean, kind of with that, when obviously you're kind of hunting for new music or whatever, like, do you find the majority of the people you're actually looking up are all kind of UK based, or would you say at this point now, obviously over in America, would you say there's that established kind of scene there now, so it's almost like a 50-50, or like what's the ratio?
I would say in recent years it has been it's been more just, I guess poppin' is like the best word I could use to describe it, but like more so now than ever before. I feel like there's definitely been a bridge between the UK sound and the US sound, which I really appreciate because, you know, I don't know, like it's hard to explain kind of the distinction between the two, but like I feel like bassline in particular has really infiltrated the U.S., especially in like the last year or two, because you have people like Chris Lorenzo, you know, Taiki has been like a heavy influence, and it's so weird because for a while I felt like it was like just kind of a pocket, and then just from going to shows and like meeting like-minded people, I'm like, wait a minute, like this is genuinely popping off in a real way, you know, like, and I really like, I love that because I've been waiting for people to like recognize that it is popping.
Yeah, of course.
It's going off.
I mean, with that, then, are you talking more about kind of like actually going out to the events and going to the clubs, or would you say more kind of just having that kind of online community of American producers kind of popping up?
Yeah, like, so I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but in my opinion, like, I think what really kicked off like the UK influence was, so you have people like Drake, right? Like Drake definitely ushered in like people like Giggs, you know what I mean? And he, even with his lyricism, like he started incorporating that kind of influence. But, you know, generally speaking, I feel like now more so than ever, like there's just, it's so easy to connect with people from basically like across the globe. And I think that, you know, I think that the UK influence has been especially like prevalent because it's just so easy now to like to access people. And like SoundCloud is generally where I do my digging, and like obviously I've had kind of years of influence of like the UK sound, but yeah, I mean more so now than ever before. Like it's easy to connect with almost anybody, you know.
Definitely, and I think that is, as you said, I agree with you on that kind of idea that's the thing that's really spurring on almost like the international connection of the music community is purely because we can connect with anyone. You can collaborate with someone in Poland overnight, and it'd be and you can do it all online. You can do it all via Zoom sessions. Like it's quite mad when you think about how much that kind of ability to communicate across the world does really kind of push scenes forward. Like with yourself, then obviously your sound's obviously gone on and it's developed and it's switched up over the years. Like where would you say your sound is now? If you could kind of give it a reference point, like who are you kind of closest to?
Sure. So, oh my gosh, I feel like I've gone through this major evolution, but I think as I've kind of progressed, like I really do tend to fall into like deep and tech house, and honestly it's just time and place, right? Like I will never not appreciate like a bass house banger, and I can totally like whip out a bass house banger, but the stuff that resonates with me the most at the end of the day is definitely deep and tech house. I actually made a pretty recent track with one of my girlfriends, Amber, who goes by Dakota 6, and to this day, like it's probably my favorite track I've ever done. I mean, the girl is an absolute powerhouse. She's got a beautiful voice, and to me, like that sound, just like the deep vibes that you can really just like feel is where I like to kind of hover, you know. But honestly, I do like the freedom to be able to make anything. I just feel like I always gravitate to like deep house, tech house.
Definitely,
you know what
man. I mean, kind of with that idea of collaborating, then would you say? Obviously, we've been talking a lot here about kind of transferring music and communication. Would you say the idea of collaboration has been kind of amplified by that as well?
100%. Like something that I really like to try to hype up like all of my friends, and like Amber, I believe I initially like ran into her online, either on like Instagram or something like that, but I met her in the flesh for the first time, literally at Spoons. Of course, no surprise there, but yeah, I met up with her at Spoons like a few trips back, and just immediately off the bat, she showed me some of her music, and I was like, I have to work with this girl. And like, really, I do feel like collaboration, it's such a great way to just like blend each other's sounds, and it's just like, you know, I don't know, I feel like that's really the way that that the US and the UK are going to continue to like mesh as it has is like collaboration. You know what I mean? Back to like my Drake and gigs thing. Like, if it wasn't for that feature, you know what I mean? Like, maybe perhaps we wouldn't be where we were now in terms of like people being receptive to the UK sound. So
Definitely,
yeah, 100%.
I definitely agree, and I do think the idea of collaboration, it definitely opens up doors. Like, it's easier to kind of break. I mean, the big phrase over here is obviously breaking America, which is seemingly really difficult to do for kind of more rap sounding artists. But it seems more like the dance music side. It seems to kind of happen a lot more naturally. So it's an interesting discussion that we can get into. So what we are going to do, we're going to jump into another track for today. We have been talking about it, so I thought I'd fling it in there. This one is Closer with yourself and Dakota 6. So if you could describe this tune in 5 words, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Let me hold out my hand really quick. Melodic, sexy, empowering, deep, and emotional, honestly.
There we go. It's a good 5. I've got to say, that's a good 5. Right then, we're going to get into this one next. This one is Closer from Clarity and Dakota 6. Don't go anywhere. We are live on the Big Bad Trickstar Radio. Oh, yes. Right then, friends, we're back inside the building. This is Breakfast with KXVU. It's just gone at 20 minutes past 9 here, and we're moving into our second bit of conversation with the wonderful Clarity, who joins us all the way from Miami. First of all, it's 4 a.m. over there?
It is literally 4 a.m. as I speak with you, but I am wide awake. I'm happy to be here. I'm energized.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Again, thank you for staying up, obviously, and getting involved more than anything else, because this show, as a kind of as a concept, obviously, the aim is to kind of try to speak to as many different kind of people as possible from as many different places, from as many different kind of areas of music. So, kind of with this, what I kind of want to look forward to here is your sort of future plans, your sort of sound, and obviously looking through kind of what's on the way. So let's kind of look through 2020 as a whole for yourself. Sure. In regards to like music. Like, how have you found it musically?
Honestly, as easy as it is to get discouraged by the situation that we're in, like, I've found, just for me personally, like, I have never had so much free time to just kind of reflect on like the arc of my life, and like it's a very privileged statement for me to say that, not going to lie, but like I try to keep a positive spin on everything, and I really feel that I've used this time to just reflect on where I've been musically and where I'd like to go. And one thing that I've challenged myself to do, that I would like to continue, is vocals. Ever since my Confession release, I've kind of set a little challenge for myself to just do only original vocals or only features. And it's, it's definitely an investment of time and money, but I really do think that taking that little bit of extra time to add your own vocals or to bring someone else on for a collab, I really do feel like that's like, it's the finishing touch, it sets you apart. So yeah, musically, just my challenge is to just continue to top myself and just be as original as I can possibly be. Amazing,
man. I agree, though. I definitely agree in regards to the vocal side of things. The idea of always having original vocals or having kind of features like the one we just heard with Dakota 6, I feel, to an extent, it makes a track more personal, I feel.
Yes, 100%. Literally, like, whenever Amber sent me back those vocals, I kid you not, Jay, like, I literally was sobbing in my car. I was sobbing in my car. I was like, wow, this is actually the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Awesome, man. So, I mean, it's awesome when you kind of get that reaction. And obviously, from a producer's point of view, that kind of that moment of opening up a folder of stems and kind of throwing them into your production software, and then hearing them and it just clicking, and that kind of feeling you get. It's not really something that's discussed a lot, but it's an incredible feeling, hearing someone else's voice over your tune and it working the way you wanted it to work.
Yes, 100%. And I don't know, I consider myself kind of like a weenie whenever it comes to music. I really do get like very emotionally invested, and like I think that's been the most rewarding thing for me about like, collaborating with people, but also just production in general, is like sometimes things just feel right to you and you're like, okay, like, yes, this is, and above anything else, like, that is the most important thing to me, is that my music has like an emotional quality to it. And I know that sounds kind of corny, but like, what I ultimately hope is that people can experience music the way that I feel it whenever I listen to it. You know, that's a very tall order, but that's essentially my goal.
Definitely.
You know?
But I feel that, though, that's essentially, it's the translation of emotion through sound, which is, I feel, what a lot of people are trying to do, and I think people do it in different ways. Like with yourself, it seems like that idea of having those original vocals and having that kind of human connection is the way that you're kind of looking to do that. So with that sort of vocal side of things, then, like, what's in the kind of pipeline? Like, have you got any kind of more vocal projects that are bubbling away?
Yes, so kind of on the down low, but I've essentially been trying to do my own vocals, and it's funny because people will ask me and they'll be like, "Are those your vocals on the track?" And I'm like, "Yes, I literally have a $100 USB mic that I bought from Guitar Center. Like, I'm not even over here with like a studio. Like, I just have my cheesy little USB mic, and I'll just sit down and riff. And honestly, like, with lyrics, for whatever reason, they just kind of flow from me. And like, I don't know, sometimes I'll just sit down and I'll record little takes, and I'm like, I'm really feeling this, you know? And I try to not put like a crazy amount of thought into it. Like, if it flows, it flows, you know? And my most popular track to date, which is my confession track, Girl Get That, I wrote that track in less than 5 hours. Like, the lyrics, the production of it, like, it just flowed. And so, yeah, I mean, whenever I sit down and I produce, I kind of just let it all come out on the paper. I record it, and if it works, it works. You know?
Awesome, man. I mean, kind of with that, something I did want to ask, because obviously when we sort of think about sort of lyric writing and almost like songwriting, we don't necessarily think of dance music as much. We tend to think of more sort of like either like an indie or a pop sort of sound or an R&B sort of sound. Like, how would you find translating that kind of emotion and sort of experience, I suppose, into a sort of dance music style of vocal? Like, do you feel it's quite a different process?
To be honest with you, I think sort of the theme that I try to keep in all of my vocals, like regardless of the subgenre or the track itself, like me in particular, the theme that I try to keep is just empowerment, essentially. But it's different vibes. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, you know, because obviously every producer has a different goal in what they're trying to evoke from people. But with Closer in particular, like, it's a very emotional track. It's a deep house track to me. And yeah, like, I don't know. It's sort of, I think that's very distinctive to like each producer, but me specifically, like, the general overall theme is empowerment, you know, but it just depends on the track. Like, you can have a banger and you can have a track that's like, you know, bounce that, shake that, which is totally cool. But if you're trying to bring an emotional quality to a track, I absolutely think that there is nothing wrong with having very, you know, romantic, sexy lyrics on top of a dance track. You know what I mean?
Definitely, man. I think it's just an extra. It adds an extra kind of layer of interest to listen to as well, which I think is awesome. And I think at the moment you're nailing it with that sort of sound. Obviously, kind of blending, as you said, that sort of more emotional kind of approach with dance music that still has all of those classic kind of 4x4 elements. I think it's a fantastic blend, and it's quite evident because obviously it seems like the last sort of 6 months for you has kind of you've seemed to have grown quite significantly in those last 6 months or so.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think just my mentality has always been like the only really challenge that I have is just continuing to make better music and continuing to top myself. And it's just like, it sounds very corny, but like, my intention of making music has always just been making things for my friends to enjoy and for people that I meet to enjoy. I try not to take myself crazy seriously, but yeah, like my only wish is that people might experience and feel music the same way that I do. And I think as long as that's your ultimate goal, everything else will kind of follow you.
Definitely.
So yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Like,
well, I've got to say, we've nearly run out of time. We've got a minute and a half left, and this is absolutely flown by. It's been awesome to chat this morning, all the way across. Is it the Atlantic or is it the Pacific? It's the Atlantic, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure it's the Atlantic.
I'm pretty sure it's the Atlantic. You know what it is?
Don't quote me.
Do you know what it is? I heard it in a bar once, and it got called out, and I can't for being wrong. And since then, I can never remember which way around it actually is. But anyway, regardless of that, it's been awesome to talk this morning. We're going to finish up by playing one more of your tunes, which goes by the name of "Can't Stop." So talk to me about this one. Describe it nice and briefly before we finish up.
Yes. So. Honestly, I've been following Ghetto Ghetto for some time. I have absolutely loved everything that record label has put out. Can't Stop is it's a banger track. I wanted to make something that was very much so for the club. So it's definitely a bit of a bassier and a bouncier one, but that I've had a lot of great reception to that track. I probably just woke up washed my face and was like, I feel like making a banger today. That's literally it.
Awesome, man. Well, I can't wait to get into it. And as I said before, it's been great talking to you this morning. One time, what is the best social media tag for people to get a hold of you on, and what platform is the best one?
Sure. So I'm primarily on Twitter. My Twitter is clarity_sounds. And then secondarily, I'm on Instagram a little bit. My Instagram is Clarity Music Official. Anyone and everyone can reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to respond. Music tips, absolutely anything, please reach out. I love it when people reach out to me, and more than happy to engage with anyone.
Amazing, man. Well, we're going to get into this one now. They're just coming up to 9:30. Clarity, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we shall speak soon.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having me.